From the beginning, Melina has been a mystery. We had so many questions about her and her place in the world of Elden Ring, with questions like, who is Melina? Where did she come from? Why is she helping us? And how did she get her hands on Torrent? Of course, we also don't know the existence of the Gloam Eyed Queen, and we weren't sure whether she was a daughter of Marika or not. We now have answers to some of these questions, and in this video I will attempt to piece together Melina's existence, purpose, and past. To get started, we did get confirmation that Melina is in fact Marika's daughter, and the younger sister to Messmer. We don't know the exact order of Marika's children, but it seems as though Messmer may have been Marika's firstborn. It seems as though Marika and Radagon first procreated to create Messmer, and potentially Melina. We see spears impaling the giants that are reminiscent of Messmer's spears. Messmer is also clearly born of Marika and Radagon, with the matching M naming convention, his own butterfly, and of course his red hair, meaning that he would need to have been born either before or after Marika and Godfrey were married. Although we do need to consider that Messmer would have needed to have been born early enough to enact Marika's crusade on the Hornsent. In regards to the timeline, it seems that the crusade took place during the union of Radagon and Rennala, specifically because of Rellana's connection with Messmer, and the fact that Rennala approved of her departure. We know that Rennala was mentally broken when Radagon left, so I don't believe she would have been capable of approving, and I don't think she would have approved even if she could. This means that the crusade needed to have begun during the Radagon-Rennala union. If we take that into context, I don't believe that Messmer would have been prepared to crusade the Hornsent if he had just been born before the Liurnian Wars. When paired with the spears and the giants, I believe this hints to Messmer being the firstborn, before Marika and Godfrey conquered the giants. As far as we know, there are only 2 times Marika and Radagon created demigod children, Messmer, and of course Miquella and Melina. This begs the question, who is the father of Melina? I think this is also simple. Melina has pinkish red hair, which could be red that is faded by having been burned before, or is a result of her spirit form. But what we do know is that she also carries the M naming convention and has her own smoldering butterfly, which to me confirms that she is a child of Marika and Radagon. Further, I believe that Melina is the second born to Marika and Radagon, that she came after Radagon had become Elden Lord. All of the children of Marika and Radagon are cursed, and Melina is no different. Messmer is cursed by the Abyssal Serpent, Miquella is cursed with eternal youth or nascency, and Melina is cursed by the Scarlet Rot. Melina is, as expected, cursed by what seems like death. There seems to be some form of parity between the siblings. With Melina and Miquella, we see opposing sides of rot and decay versus Miquella's stagnant youth. Messmer and Melina seem to have multiple connections as well. Of course, the most obvious being their visions of fire, where they seem to have opposing opinions. We know from the description of Messmer's orb that he wished to rid himself of his fire, where Melina seems to embrace her connection to fire. Messmer also goes on to rule the spirit realm, prolonging and reinforcing a world without death, where Melina tells us about the world she wants in her dialogue before burning the Erdtree. She tells us that she watched the world, and that it needs death indiscriminate, which is kind of the polar opposite of the take that Messmer has, where he burns the Hornsent in his flame for eternity. That brings us to the topic of Melina's sealed eye. We learn that Marika had removed and replaced Messmer's eye with the Seal of Grace. Eyes in Elden Ring seem to be a great form of power. Marika replaced Messmer's eye with the Seal of Grace to subdue the power of the Abyssal Serpent, and we gain power from equipping Radagon or Marika's eyes as talismans, and of course the Tarnished and Godfrey had the grace removed from their eyes. Knowing the power that this has, it seems likely that Marika would have performed the same action with Melina, removing her right eye and replacing it with the Seal of Grace, and sealing her left eye, which we see opened in the Frenzied Flame ending, along with a very faded right eye, seemingly because we destroyed the source of grace, meaning that Melina's seal has been broken. To learn more about Melina, we need to take a step back and look over the timeline that led to her birth and the paths that she walks. Upon becoming a god, Marika removes the Rune of Death from her Golden Order and begins her conquest over the lands between. Eventually, with the defeat of the giants and the confining of the Flame of Ruin, Marika declares the beginning of the Age of the Erdtree, and subsequently the Age of Plenty, where the Erdtree's sap was plentiful, creating new life and blessing those of the lands between. The Erdtree relies on death to live, and to birth new life. And as Marika's conquest continued, and the Erdtree birthed new life without receiving death, the sap of the Erdtree quickly dries up, and the Age of Plenty comes to an end. New life is no longer being created, and the dragons lead an assault on Landel, further expanding the death in the lands between. With no new life replacing the dead, Marika goes searching for answers in her Golden Order.
I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order through understanding of the proper way. Our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?
As a multifaceted plan, Marika marches on Liurnia as Radagon, to both protect her order from the potential threat of Raya Lucaria and the power of the Carians, as well as to learn more about her order. Marika, much like the population of the lands between, were aware of the Carian preceptor's ability to read the fates in the stars. So while Marika waged war with Liurnia for her own protection, it seems she also had alternative motives to gain insight into her fate and the fate of her order after her conquest was complete. Unfortunately for Marika, the Carians were by far the most difficult foe she had encountered. Despite their low numbers, they matched the champions of gold in battle, leading to a change in her plans. Instead of conquest, she renounces aggression in the form of Radagon and marries Rennala, linking the Erdtree and the Carian royalty together. The lessons differed, but the outcome remained the same. Marika gained access to her own personal preceptors, requiring them to seal the mouth of their masks, to signify their duty to keep the matters discussed between them and Radagon completely secret. Sworn to their duty of hiding the secrets of Radagon and Marika, Marika is able to further inquire about her fate. This discovery marks a major shift in Marika's demeanor, her plans, and her actions. This is the moment when she turns her back on the greater will. Marika, with the help of the preceptors, discovers that she is destined to be entirely taken over by Radagon, while she remains the vessel for the Elden Ring and the Elden Beast. This is seen in Radagon's existence while Marika is a lifeless husk. Marika shown to be aware of this fate, as we hear her say,
In Marika's own words, O Radagon, leal hound of the Golden Order, thou art yet to become me. Thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered, both, mine other self.
Prior to the Liurnian Wars, Marika seemed to consistently be expanding her reach and emphasizing herself as Queen Marika the Eternal. Midway through the Radagon-Rennala union, we start to see Marika planning for a successor. After years of ruling, she begins her crusade on the Hornsent, sending Mesmer to the Shadow Realm and sealing him away. Furthermore, we start to see the arrival of the first Empyreans. Prior to Marika's discovery, her children were never labeled as Empyreans. It wasn't until Ranni, Miquella, and Melina that Empyreans are named. Even Godwyn and Radon, who were seen as honorable and strong, are not considered Empyreans. Ranni being the youngest, but the first Empyrean, shows that Marika learns of this fate following Radon and Rykard, but before Ranni. During this time, Godfrey and the Tarnished are sent away, with plans to return and become Elden Lord should all else fail. Radagon and Marika return to Landel, where Marika starts planning steps for her successor, creating Melina, the first Empyrean born of a single god. Upon sealing away Mesmer and the Shadow Realm, Marika creates a space separated from the lands between. At one point, the lands between and the Shadow Realm were one and the same, with the Shadow Realm sealed in the center of the lands between. Similarly to Fair Missoula, the Shadow Realm seems to be locked in a constant state, Fair Missoula being perpetually crumbling following the meteor strike that shattered it originally, The Shadow Realm seems to be locked in the same state that it was when it was sealed away by Marika. With this in mind, it tells us that the Shadow Tree is the Erdtree in its original form. The Shadow Tree Avatar Remembrance describes it as the shadow of the Erdtree, born of dark notions that bear no sense of order. In other words, the Shadow Tree is the shadow of the Erdtree's former self, sealed away by Marika along with Messmer. So, the Erdtree faithful that were sealed away with Messmer never come to learn of the golden tree that comes to light the lands between. Instead, they continue to worship the Erdtree in the only form that they know, through the collection of Shadow Tree fragments. The Shadow Realm never does come to learn about what happens in the future outside the Shadow Realm, never knowing the Gloam Eyed Queen, the Godskins, the Golden Order fundamentalism, or why their land is now infected with death blight. Melina, the first Empyrean born of a single god, lives through her childhood seeing the destruction and failure of the current order without death. Guided by Marika as her chosen successor, she learns how the world works and how she will become the next ruler. Before sending Melina to discover her own path, Marika even teaches Melina her secret minor Erdtree incantation, reinforcing the kindness Marika used to have and the kindness Melina needs to return to the world. Melina's path leads to her vision of the world in which she would have, one that exists with death indiscriminate. Melina finds power in the Rune of Death, plucked from the Golden Order but left unsealed, becoming the Gloam Eyed Queen. Her vision of black flame leading to the creation of the Godskins and the beginning of Melina's plan to enact the Godskin Hunt, delivering death indiscriminate and remaking the Golden Order with death included in the world once again. As her God Hunt began, Marika sent Malekith to defeat the Gloam Eyed Queen and fully seal death away. Eventually, Malekith proves successful, and Marika looks for ways to heal the world and her people. Marika takes drastic measures to seal and hide the Rune of Death, locking Melina away in a room just outside the Forbidden Lands, and giving a new purpose to Melina to become the Kindling Maiden. Igniting the flame of ruin grants one access to Farum Azula. Thus, Melina's new purpose as Kindling Maiden is to ignite the flame of ruin, burn the existing Erdtree so Malekith can take the Rune of Death and hide away in Farum Azula. Following that, Marika replaces the Erdtree with a golden version of itself, created from an incantation to heal her severely broken people. While guiding the Tarnished, Enya says,
"You must find kindling. Only the smouldering flame in the great forge of the giants on the highest peak in the lands between can burn the Erdtree. But special kindling is required to reignite the flame. For the flame to burn the Erdtree, a sacrifice is needed of one who envisions the flame and can lead you to the Rune of Death."
Melina is keenly aware of the location of the Rune of Death when she says, "Those who walk alongside flame shall soon meet the road of Destined Death." Melina also already knows how to burn the Erdtree, seeing as she's done so before. We can see the scattered ashes of this event remaining throughout Leyndell, and the old wooden tree roots of the Erdtree's former self still tangling their way through deep-root depths. And Melina has been burned away along with it. Following the shattering of the Elden Ring and the return of the Tarnished, Melina is given form once again, and as she says, she is searching for her purpose.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Erdtree, long ago, for the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless.
Upon being returned, Melina is unaware of the reasoning. The idea of Melina asking why she yet lives sparks the idea that she should be dead after being burned in the past. Yet Melina is reborn and repurposed by Marika after she had been sealed in the Erdtree. In hopes of remembering her true purpose, Melina makes an accord with the Tarnished to bring her to the foot of the Erdtree. Upon the defeat of Morgott, and the realization that the Erdtree is sealed, the Tarnished returns to speak with Melina, who has now discovered her true purpose, to burn the Erdtree.
The only way to stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord is to pass the thorns. My purpose serves to aid in that very act, so I'd like you to undertake a new journey with me to the Flame of Ruin, far above the clouds, upon the snowy mountain tops of the giants. Then I can set the Erdtree aflame and guide you down the path to becoming Elden Lord.
In the path forward, Melina begins reverting to who she once was. She says this when talking about her actions.
There is something I'd like to say. My purpose was given to me by my mother, but now I act of my own volition. I have set my heart upon the world that I would have, regardless of my mother's designs. I won't allow anyone to speak ill of that, not even you.
Melina and the Tarnished continue to the Forge of Giants, defeating the Fire Giant and finding themselves overlooking the smoldering Flame of Ruin. Later, she reveals what this world looks like.
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair and death. Indiscriminate. Are you prepared to commit a cardinal sin?
Upon the decision to commit a cardinal sin, Melina begins her ritual to burn the Erdtree, being well aware of how to do so from the first time she burned it. She recites these words.
O Erdtree, you shall burn. Burn for the sake of the new Lord. Thank you for guiding me here. The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death. Goodbye.
This proclamation is one linked to the Kindling Maiden's Blade of Calling as well. The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death. Melina recites this, indicating that not only is she the Kindling Maiden, but that she also knows that the Rune of Death lies in Farum Azula. At this point, Melina has walked the path of the Elden Lord, along with the Tarnished, and has realized that she can place her trust in the Tarnished to carry the world in the right direction moving forward, knowing that she can no longer do the job herself. Melina leaves the world hoping for death to bring balance and for the world to heal, relying on the Tarnished to defeat the Elden Beasts, reintroduce death to the lands between, and hopefully heal the world, bringing about a new age. Melina's story is one of vindication. As she grew up, she identified an issue with the lack of death in the world, and without hesitation, she attempts to bring a solution, trying to end the current age, only to be defeated and used to further protect a broken existence. In the end, Marika seems to have come to terms with the necessity of death, resorting to bringing Melina back, siding with her to get Destined Death in the hands of the Tarnished, so they can bring death to the gods. For now, some questions still remain. I've yet to understand how or why Melina has inherited Torrent. My thoughts right now are that Torrent was abandoned by Miquella and, being spectral, found a new home with Melina, but there may be another reason. We also don't know exactly how Melina exists after the Frenzied Flame ending. The Surging Frenzied Flame item description says that the flame burns away spirits, so there must be something different about Melina, just not sure what that is yet. And finally, we don't really know why Melina chooses us. There seem to be countless tarnished throughout the game, but it seems as though Melina only interacts with us. Of course, there is Torrent, who says Melina chose us from the start, but the same question still arises. Why Torrent chose us? And what he's really looking for? All these things are topics to consider, and I would love to hear your thoughts on everything. Thank you for watching today. Melina has been one of my favorite characters in Elden Ring, and her mystery makes her fun to speculate on. Let me know what your ideas are in the comments down below, and what topics you would like to hear about in the future. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.